That's a neat little porch they have there with all the Look at that.
Hey.
I'm gonna try going over there.
10 minutes, guys.
I'm gonna try going over there and getting a better shot. What's the water for?
It's holy water.
Sprinkle it on you?
River Street. What Cap Flint and his crew would do, as the men would come in there, they would take them down the tavern, get them all drunk up, send them down those tunnels. By the time they woke up, they'd be on a ship out to sea. Literally Shanghai job, the rain shutters on. Got the tabby sidewalks to my right over here made out of seashell, limestone, sand, dirt, mixed together. Tabby roads we're fixing to turn on to. International Seamen's House and Chapel back to my left over here. Beyond the chapel is the Hampton Lower Bridge on back to my left. Go back in circa 17.
Very, very nice. Really?
Why do you see this funny?
That's fair if you want to use it. All rock stuff.
Yeah. I have a pair of those too.
Yes,
You know how old you are when you say
yes, on that.
congratulations. He just graduated.
When I went trail running with Jeanette,
Yeah.
I would always Rose gets so bad because I trip over every little thing. Happy hour.
Welcome everybody. Glad y'all are hanging out with us. We're Argyle. Get a little bit of late start here because of the rain. We've been playing a couple hours now. Everybody knows that they're all stuck. But the rest you got me.
Are they giving a special treatment?
They do. They do a little bit, but not like nasty, especially like catching to go and say hi and like stuff like that, but not any like cage or something.
It's our tour guide for the ghost tour.
Scheme to kidnap the royal governor, James Wright, and bring him here. He was actually a friend of the family's, so they wanted him to feel comfortable, and they probably gave him wine and dined him while this revolutionary act was going on. It's always been associated with comfort. When Sherman came through on Sherman's March, this is where the officers stayed. Sherman stayed at the Green Meldrum House. But through that window, later on, if you're interested, you can see the portrait a little better as it gets darker. James Haversham is a colonial gentleman with, he's always seen with a gray wig and a ponytail and pants that go just below the knee. Sometimes he's seen at the bar, sometimes he's seen standing near the fireplace, and people are clued into him being a little bit diffuse, not exactly filled out. They might see the texture of the bricks right through him, or happen to catch someone walking and see that person's form. So then they know they're having an encounter. I had a woman on my tour, she didn't think she'd seen anything strange till I was saying, that James Haversham walks through the restaurant. Sometimes he's looking what people are eating. She says she was upstairs, came down the stairs, and saw a gentleman dressed in that way at the bottom of the stairs. And like a lot of people, she just thought he had been hired to be some kind of greeter, host. And he is. This sounds really far-fetched, but he has been known to see people. The hostess has seen people seating themselves and come over and start to explain they have reservations they need to stick to. And they seem really confused because they say, this gentleman, wonderfully friendly gentleman sat us, and they look around for him, they describe how he's dressed. Sometimes they take him over to that portrait and they say, yes, it looked a lot like that, of teaching young African-American kids how to read and write. And she didn't leave any evidence with her teaching math because she would use whatever you could line up, like stones or candy, and she would line up the candy, and if they got it right, they got to have all the candy that was in that problem. So she was found out, and in the middle of the night, the authorities gave her an ultimatum that she needed to either leave town or face charges. So she decided to leave town in this little house, which, by the way, there's a retired school teacher who lives here now. Sometimes she looks out and pulls down her blind. He's a spirit of a shipbuilder, and in his later career, he built ships for the Confederacy, the ironclads. There's one sunk in the Savannah River. But when he was making one of his first ships, and his wife was helping him, and she would stand with them, hand him tools, and he was very devoted to her. He called her lady. And one day, they were down there together, and they were setting the ship out for its first trial run, and it had a lot more power than they were expecting. And the boat lurched and she fell overboard, and she was wearing lots of layers, and just the weight of it dragged her down. And he wasn't able to save her. So in his grief, he would leave the house and walk down to the Savannah River, and all the neighbors would hear the loud slam in the middle of the night, and clomp, clomp, clomp. And this is a sound that people still hear at this house. This house was brought over from Price Street, and it was almost like a psychic impression that was left. This door slam, and it's carried to this location also. And the story came full circle when he was completing the ship, and he decided to name the ship Lady, and he was down on one of those ladders hanging off the ship, naming it with paint, and he saw her on top with his arms outstretched, and he was scrambling to go toward her, and he fell overboard. And in a moment, he decided that he would like to join her, and he just let himself drift under the water, and he probably would have perished, but his friends saved him. So I see a spot. We can stand right in front of that green Jaguar. We can talk about the Hampton Willowbridge house, but this is one of the only houses in Savannah that had a group come down from Duke University and study it, and dubbed it the most psychically possessed home that they had ever researched.
Really?
Now it dates to 1796, and this, believe it or not, this structure was brought over from Bryan Street, and I've seen pictures of it. It was picked up on a platform, and it was barely holding itself together. And the first strange omen that happened, this was in 1963 when the preservation movement was well underway, and Jim Williams was the person that decided he was going to renovate this one. And when they lifted up the structure to move it, the house next to it collapsed, and all the workmen were running for their lives, and one didn't make it out. The other strange thing was that when they were here and they were getting the ground ready for the foundation, they realized there was a crypt there made out of tabby underneath the surface. And Jim Williams was out of town a lot on antique buying trips. This was his antique shop right here. This is now a private residence. And this happened to be a time when he was out of town. His workmen came by and reassured him that there was nothing, no skeleton, no bones there. But he always regretted that he put a house on top of a crypt and he wasn't able to look inside and see who was buried there. There was a lot of speculation about it being the boy giant at Foley's Alley, who had been known to kill animals and little children. And which at that point was just an empty drop. So he laid down on the ground to prevent himself from being pulled into that open pit. The men assembled down here that day, and it was a famous moment in the history of the house. They looked back up at the house and they saw a man looking down at them, and he had very fierce eyes, and he was wearing a gray suit, and all the men saw him, and they started to say the E word. They started to say Jim needed to have an exorcism, and every time they said that, they heard a loud scream, not from the house, from the middle of where they were standing. So Jim Williams had a bishop come down from Atlanta, Episcopalian, and it was a very formal ceremony, and all of his workmen were there with him, standing on the first floor. It lasted about a half hour, and the spirits did die down. It did die down for about 10 days, and then it kicked back up. So I mentioned the fires, and there was one of the fires destroyed everything from Broughton Street, which is right down there, to Bay Street, including the house inside the Pirates House dates to 1734, and this is one of our most haunted structures. There are pirates wandering around inside. The staff have seen them. This was a place where it was called the Pirates House as early as 1753. It was a place where they stayed. They'd get drunk and rowdy at the bar, and
Heck yeah.
and there's actually a tunnel in the captain's room, and it's said to go down to the river, and it was hard to get young men to go out to sea, so they keep an eye on a young man drinking, and grab him, take him under the tunnel, and he'd wake up out to sea. And this happened to a Savannah policeman one time. He came over for a drink, and he woke up on a ship bound for China. So this is a great place to come, because they find little girl hands on the windows from the inside, and they wash them away. Now there was a point in time when I was bringing troops over here, Girl Scout troops, and whenever we started talking about the little girl ghost, this light would become very active. I don't know if it'll do that, but it'll come on and off, get really bright, go down. Sometimes spirits will go.
And just as they were laying down to go to sleep, and she had tried to rise, she felt so intimidated. And she was super big with the fly.
Go on and on about the little girl that you're talking about. Now, I had a woman on the tour church in Illinois. She saw Liza Davenport. This is a little girl that likes to come to the middle window up there, and she likes to come stand and look out. But let's see, I think we need to talk to her. They also have an orange kitty ghost, little children. That has happened though. And sometimes she'll lay out an outfit that she thinks she should wear. She may be just really interested in female undergarments and things because she died at the height of her romance. But also calls go directly to her room, and telephone company's been out a few times, haven't been able to figure that out. One young staff member was walking around collecting B&B cards off people's doors, and he felt himself lifted up by the elbows. He looked down and he was 6 inches off the ground. So he was interviewed by the Travel Channel and came.
one neck. Attack, react, exact, man, I move you in. So long as long as you prove to this. I keep the crowd loud when you tight. Do damage on stage and in this fight. If I shoot the difference, see that still. While my stick to you like Jimmy Jeff. Feel my blood fit on my death kiss. The rap solo is still one of this. Supreme in this era, I reign with terror. When I grab the mic, I believe it's an error. Fascinate rhyme, and I enchant them. So let's go sing the big cat anthem. Flow the flow, my rhyme flow like an afro. I used to take gain and cane and never have no problem. I can sneak to the point. Even if I'm done, I'm a step forward. Cause rappers can't understand mics I rip. They sure to ain't a quit, just why they got flip. But my apparatus is up to status. No ass who's the baddest. I'm not boy, I take a kick the head, put it in the bed. So I can say a piece for the pack and reobtain control. I take a walk every fourth in the day. Cause I can kill and kill and kill. Teaching the skills that's real, you know, drill. Just that still and chill as I feel. Science I chill until my rhymes fill. Get up. Don't even get up. The teacher is teaching. Shut up. Set it off. Set it off. Take a step back, regret that you never had to come from me. Step back, come correct, go back and forth back. Connect, dissect, check and direct shot. Static a man with the clan, caravan or band. We go man for man. And without further ado or any delay, Mr. C, we say, oh, DJ, mad money first with the triple M. Full of barber, keep on my flat top track. Full of my brother, trap on my armor. Dance with the group so loud, I put the song on the floor. And then one job, I go and join. After the phone, door was beat to get four. Acrobat, maniac, now I get dramatic. One start going on my glitch on me, so don't play me, obey me. When after you rap, you better play me. I'm sitting sucker and see heading off, and if you still want some, set it off. We need to cook, it's just pushing hope, and if you are what you eat, then beat me dope, cause I'm just about to go, don't forget, ultimate legit, pain is a pleasant fit. The king of my kingdom, I release the master, the group will never see until case and cheese. Oh, nice throw, hit it, grab paper, hit it, cause set it off. Set it off.
Oh yeah. I didn't even see you over there.
I like that. That's cute. That is perfect.
But you gotta do the little hand crank. I think they got the message.
Emergency 911.
That's funny.
That's the radio.
Radio.
There's more. Oh, there's a lot.
You only
A
got
lot more stairs. About
you only
2 more
got a
flights.
more.
We finally made it to the top of the lighthouse. Here's the beacon.
That's a good picture. Look.
I'm just